Forward meteorologist Kim Adams, a few snow flurries, especially north of I-69. Tomorrow morning, back into the single digits, then a warm-up. We'll talk about all of it in a few minutes.
Also, success at last. This is a live look at a freighter that's moving again after being stuck for 2 days in the Detroit River. We're going to show you the moment it was freed. And here's Hank.
Hi, Karen. Good afternoon, everybody. Raising money for Thaw, the Gift of Warmth telethon well underway. I'm going to show you what you can do today to make a huge difference in the lives of Metro Detroiters in need.
Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News First at 4 starts now.
Good afternoon. I'm Karen Drew. First at 4, finally free. A freighter stuck in the Detroit River for 2 days is back in open water. We've been following efforts to get the 623-foot ship moving again after it was stuck off Belle Isle Monday morning. It's been a frustrating process. 2 tugboats were brought in and couldn't get it moving. Then a third was added to the mix. It was still a struggle, but at 2 o'clock this afternoon, the freighter started to turn and was able to start moving. The ship will be assessed to make sure it is safe enough to continue its journey. Here's another live look at where the freighter is right now. It's supposed to be bringing 21,000 tons of wheat to Italy. We'll have a live update and more on what's next on Local 4 News at 5. Paul Whelan is claiming he was attacked by another prisoner today as he remains wrongfully detained in Russia. Whelan told CNN that a Turkish prisoner with anti-American views attacked him. He says the other inmate punched him in the face. Whelan says no prison guards were present at the time. According to the report, he said he was treated by a doctor, reported the incident, which he says Russian officials are taking seriously. Michigan State fans getting to know their new head football coach. You may have seen some of his debut live on our noon show. University officially welcomed Jonathan Smith to East Lansing with a new green and white jersey. The 44-year-old Smith says he grew up dreaming about being a coach. He says he's fired up to get started, and he also got choked up thanking his family for supporting that dream.
I got to thank this crew right in front of me. These decisions are not easy. I want to chase championships at the highest level, but at the same time create an atmosphere for my family to be special. And that's why I go back to this fit. I appreciate you guys, Candace, Robert, Bella, and Charles, for coming along and believing in this ride.
Smith comes here from Oregon State, where he was 18-7 over the past 2 seasons. He replaces fired Mel Tucker, who was let go after allegations of sexual harassment. Tucker denies any wrongdoing and has stated that he is considering a wrongful termination suit. From East Lansing, let's move to Ann Arbor for a look outside. You can see it looks a little hazy over there in Ann Arbor. Temperatures below freezing, and it probably feels worse because some of that wind out there, Kim.
It does. We have wind chills right now that make it feel like it's in the teens. And we've had some snow showers return to Metro Detroit, although we did enjoy a little bit of sunshine today. Now the snow is pretty much north of I-69, although I've started to see a few flurries develop in Macomb County, and that'll be the story for the next several hours. Just some isolated light snow showers or flurries, not as heavy as it was last night. It's 30 downtown, but in the upper 20s pretty much everywhere else. 27 at Metro Airport, upper 20s in Mount Clemens, and 28 down in Monroe. But you do factor in the wind, and it feels like it's only 15 in Pontiac, 16 in Howell, 22 in Port Huron, and the wind chill now in Mount Clemens is 18. Tomorrow we start out pretty close to where we were today in the upper teens to low 20s, but tomorrow we make it into the upper 30s, and we're not done there. We get into the 40s by the end of the week. We'll talk about that in a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Kim. This afternoon, we've been following the final farewells to former First Lady Rosalynn Carter. More than half a dozen people who lived in the White House paid their respects, including her husband, former President Jimmy Carter. Kimberly Gill has some of those special moments from the service in Georgia. Kim?
Hi, Karen. Good afternoon. Former President Carter is 99 years old and has been living privately in hospice since February. Well, today he made a public and poignant appearance to say goodbye to his wife of 77 years. Among the tributes, country singers Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood performed.
Imagine all the people living for today. Ooh, imagine there's no
Today's service was held at the Glenn Memorial Church at Emory University. Former President Carter sat in the first row along with President Biden, Dr. Jill Biden, former President Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Michelle Obama, and Melania Trump. Friends and family shared memories of Mrs. Carter's life as a selfless humanitarian, political advisor, mother, and wife.
I will always love my mother. I will cherish how she and Dad raised their children. They've given us such a great example of how a couple should relate.
Today, we do indeed mourn a remarkable person, one of the truly good people in this world. May those of us who knew and loved her as a friend and colleague honor her life by building on her legacy of caring deeply for the most vulnerable among us.
The former First Lady will be laid to rest tomorrow in her hometown of Plains, Georgia. Karen, Mrs. Carter certainly had an impact on so many people. As you know, she passed away last week at the age of 96. We'll send it back to you.
All right. Thank you, Kim. Israel says 12 more hostages have been released during the 5th day of a fragile truce with the militant group Hamas. Both sides have traded accusations of gunfire in northern Gaza, but so far there's no indication that would interrupt the ceasefire, which is expected to last one more day. Meantime, the Biden administration is reportedly putting new pressure on Israel to avoid mass displacement and mass casualties among Palestinian civilians if it resumes its offensive. Israel is vowing to destroy Hamas after the truce ends, following the October 7th terror attack that sparked the war. On this Giving Tuesday, we are going to talk about a few nonprofits that need your help. In October, we told you about the Motor City Mitten Mission struggling to open its doors over in Macomb County. Well, there has been some big developments since that story aired. Paula Tutman is live to tell us about it. Paula, this is great news, and I understand there's more to the story.
Yeah, there really is. We're talking about a huge donation, $250,000. People will recognize the name of the foundation from the Art Van Furniture family. Wow, thank you so much for this. However, they are able to keep this open. There is a but, and it is a big but.
115 people found their way to the Trinity Lutheran Church shelter location in Warren last night. Not even one step ahead of the bitter cold.
That was freezing. That was painful. Very painful, and it hurts. When it gets that cold, you don't feel the cold. It burns. It's that cold.
No one, not one person, was turned away. There were only 96 cots. Some had to sleep on the floor. And even today, the women's side of the shelter and the men's side is packed. But here's what the $250,000 from the A.A. Van Elslander Foundation does. Downstairs, there's hot lunch cooking and dinner too.
This is real chicken pieces that I cut.
Upstairs, there are arrangements being made for one of the women who wandered in off the street.
She needs diabetic strips, daytime insulin.
Thank goodness for the generous help and funding to keep the shelter open. But the shelter isn't the only need this small nonprofit is juggling.
We did have to completely eliminate our emergency motel hotel funding program, and that mainly was for families and children and people that had disabilities.
Today, here is what Motor City Mitten Mission needs: a show of community support. They desperately need more sponsorship funding and donations, both large and small. Because when you're homeless, winter is not coming. When you're homeless, winter is here.
I honestly, it's by the grace of God I'm here.
Absolutely filled to capacity. There's just a lot going on here. Other organizations are certainly pitching in. Domino's Pizza, Chicken Shack doing their part. But this is the thing, Karen. People need sponsors, need to see community support. They need to see small donations and large donations and show that the community really does care about this. So on this Giving Tuesday, what Motor City Mitten Mission needs is they need the community to say, hey, we support you with our economic vote. We need them to write small checks and large checks so that they can stay open with their other programs as well to get people out of the shelters.
Oh, such a great need. We really do appreciate you bringing awareness to this. Thank you so much, Paula.